But 7th graders, this is the part of this lesson where we're looking at a certain kind of equation called the slope-intercept form of an equation. Okay? Now, this form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. Now all of these refer to numbers. What do you notice about this equation right away? What does it solve for? Yes, it's solved for y. So that's the first thing that you need to do to put an equation in slope-intercept form, is to solve it for y. Okay? And we'll do that later on in some examples. But let's take a closer look at the equation itself. The y in this equation refers to the y-coordinate of a point, of an ordered pair. It refers to the y number. Okay? The m in the equation refers to the slope. So if you know what the slope is because you have 2 points, you can use that number in this equation. Or, if you see a number in that spot, then you know that that is the slope. Okay, you really focus on this. You can take the notes out so you can follow along. Okay? The x refers to the what, Jordan? The coordinate x, yep. So the number, if you have a point, and then b. What is b? What does it say, Maddie? B is a number called the y-intercept. Okay? The y-intercept is anywhere where the line that we're talking about crosses the y-axis, or intercepts the y-axis. That's why it's called the y-intercept. Okay? And it's the number in this equation that is not the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x? What part of the equation is the coefficient of x? That's the slope. Whatever the coefficient of x is in this equation is the slope. That's m. Okay? B is the other number. And that's the what, Amelia? B is the, just read it. The y-intercept. Yep. And the y-intercept is what, Max? What does that mean?
It's where the line crosses the y-axis.
Right. So if you know what the y-intercept is, then you can mark that point as the first point from this equation. Okay? So look at this example. Y equals 1/3 x minus 1. -1 is the b in the equation. Okay? So that means -1 is the what? Caleb. -1 is the y-intercept. So that's the spot on the y-axis where this line crosses. We can mark that spot. Mark that point. -1. Then we can use the slope to find the next point. How would we use the slope to find the next point, Sam?
So the top is like the rise, and the rise is like the line.
Yep.
And then you go to, like 3.
And mark that point. Because that's the next point where it crosses a whole number. So it goes up 1 over 3. And if you have 2 points that are marked, you can draw the line. Okay? That's how you use this equation to graph a line, is to mark the y-intercept and then mark the slope, or mark the point using the slope. Great?
What if you have an equation that just does mx?
Good question. We'll look at an equation like that and we'll graph it. All right? What it means is that the y-intercept is 0. Okay? So whenever you have there's nothing over here, it's just y equals a number times x, then the y-intercept is 0. Okay, but we'll look at some examples of that. Let's go to your assignment for today. You did 2 of these where you had to put these in y-intercept form, or y in slope-intercept form. So what do we have to do that? What are the steps in doing that? Adam? What does it say on your homework assignment? Solve for y. Once you solve for y, you have y equals mx plus b form. So, you have this equation. How do you solve this for y? You're going to have to do this tomorrow on the quiz. So you've done this before. Gracie?
You add negative 5x.
Yep. We have to get rid of 5x, so we have to add negative 5x to both sides. Well, we could add y over here and then add negative 6 over there as well. Yeah, we could. Okay. So let's start with this way, since we've already started. So we bring down the negative y, and then we have 6 plus negative 5x, or you could write it as negative 5x plus 6. Either way. Can we change these around? Because of what property? Commutative property. It's addition. So it doesn't matter which order these are in. Which one, let's finish solving for y. Yeah, that's a negative 1, isn't it? What's the reciprocal of negative 1? Negative 1. So if we multiply it by negative 1, and multiply this by negative 1, or make everything opposite, we get positive y.
Could you divide it by negative 1?
We could divide it by negative 1 also. Okay? So this is 5x plus negative 6. Okay? Now, what is the coefficient of x? Or what is m? What is the slope? Now that we have it solved.
5.
5. So to graph it, we go 5 up and over 1. What is the y-intercept? Negative 6. Yep. Now, we get the same thing if you did what AJ said and moved y over to this side, and then negative 6 over here. You'd have the same thing. On this one, it might be. Yep. How about this one? Solve this one for y. You have to get rid of the 7x.
Then you have 2y equals 10 minus 7x. And then you divide everything by 2.
Divide everything by 2.
And you got y equals 5 plus 3.5x.
Now, let's leave this as negative 7 over 2. Why?
X.
Oh, yeah, x.
Doesn't mean the same thing.
Yeah, it does, but then when you're graphing it, you'd have to go up and get 3.5 and then over 1, and you'd have your point in the middle of nowhere, kind of. You know what I mean? So we have to use this as the slope when we're graphing, and it's easier to graph whole numbers. It's easier to count whole numbers.
It's the same thing, but in the same spot.
Well, let's try it. The equation was y equals 5 plus negative 7 over 2x, or y equals 5 plus 3.5x. Plus negative 3.5. Okay? Now, what is the y-intercept? Gray?
5.
5. So we mark that first. Go up 5 and mark that spot. Now it says go down 3.5. So that's 1, 2, 3.5. So it's somewhere in here. And then over 1, it's going to be somewhere in this area. Okay? Or you could go down 7, 5, 6, 7, and over 2. And mark that spot.
Oh, it's still on a straight line.
It's still on a straight line. But the line is going to be more accurate if you put it on a whole number. This is simplified. Can you simplify these numbers any?
Yes.
No. That's not any more simple. In fact, this is not a rational number. Okay? A rational number has a whole number over a whole number. Okay? So
you can't put 3.5 on a graph.
you can put 3.5 on a graph. I didn't say you couldn't graph it. I said it's easier to graph whole numbers. It's easier to count whole numbers. What if it was, what if it was negative 7/11ths? Would you change that? Why not?
Well, actually, I'd probably try.
Don't. Yeah. Just leave it as a whole number. Okay? Any questions on that?
It'd be negative 0.6363636363.
Yeah, graph that.
That's simplified.
All right, let's go to your assignment. So we have, we went through the slope and intercept of those. Now let's go to 9 and 10 and graph these with the slope and intercept. This is so simple, you guys.
Yeah, it is.
You can do this really easily. So, what is the y-intercept in number 9? Emily? 3. Mark 3. What's the slope? Negative 2 over 1. Draw the line. Make sure you put arrows. What is the y-intercept in number 10?
Negative 1.
So mark negative 1. What is the slope? Johnny? How would you find the next point using the slope? Johnny, how would you use M? Well, just look at your paper. This is number 10. How would you mark the next point? It means up 1 and right 3. Up 1 and then to the right 3. The slope of 1/3. Then draw a straight line, put arrows on it. You see how simple that is? That's why using slope-intercept form is a great way to graph, an easy way to graph lines. Okay? That takes us through this lesson and everything that you need to do for your quiz.